So, as I said, today is a look at various different charities that work in and around, and I suppose with this kind of similar cohort of people potentially to kind of home improvement agencies and those of you involved with DFGs. So, first of all, I'm going to welcome Janet from an organisation called We Weed, which I suppose, as it says on the tin, is about people who go out and weed gardens. So I'll add your presentation to the stage, Janice, and let's get back to the start. And over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for having me. And hello to everyone. Yes, We Weed. People ask me about the name, why it's called that for quite a lot. And it basically, just because it started with me, I just needed a name and that was fun and that was available as a domain name, and that's why it's called We Weed. But anyway, let me tell you a bit about what it actually is. So it's a trades directory basically, but it is for mainly women gardeners. We do not exclude men from the directory, but it is primarily to support women to become self-employed gardeners and companion gardeners as well, which I'll tell you more about what that is in a bit. So there's a picture there of the page of the website where you can go and find a gardener geographically. So each gardener has their own profile. And that will tell the person who's looking for a gardener their skills, knowledge, pictures of the gardens that they've done. They are essentially they're free mini websites that people can showcase their services on. We support women into becoming self-employed gardeners, and the reason we support women, I'll explain a bit in a minute. Companion gardeners, again, I'll explain that in the next slide. We champion more inclusive ways of learning about horticulture because there are some barriers into it. And we motivate better health in second careers, especially for women over 40. Okay, so it started because I've got another business, a hospitality business, and in COVID, it got mothballed. It just shut in a day. And I thought, oh my God, how am I going to get some money? Because I didn't think it would ever come back, you know. So I thought, well, I wonder if I can, I might just help people with a bit of weeding or something like that, because I've got an allotment. And I didn't really know a huge amount about gardening. I just had the allotment so I could grow vegetables, and that was about it, really. And so there was a before and after picture on here. That's the after picture of my allotment. The one before it was just some mud, basically. But the animations don't work on this platform. But at least it's stuck on the one that was after, not the one before. And so I put the pictures of the before and afters on a Facebook, local Facebook groups, and said, does anybody want a hand? You know, not unpaid, but does anybody want a hand in their garden? And my gosh, people definitely did. And my first customer was a mum of a lady who lived quite far away. And she said, my mum's got dementia. She's always loved her garden. She's brilliant at gardening, but she's getting confused now. She really needs some help. And I said, gosh, I don't really know very much. And she went, no, you know enough. You've got your pictures look nice. She just needs some passion and some company. So that's how it started. And I was amazed at the need for people to do this. And I had lots more inquiries as well from people who were older, who couldn't manage their gardens anymore. And that coined the term companionship gardener. And what happened was that I learned from these people who had managed their gardens for many, many years, beautiful plants in, and they knew how to garden, they knew how to look after these plants. I didn't. So I learned from them, but in return, I'd give them company and physical help. And so then I needed help because I couldn't manage it on my own anymore. So then Justine came along. She's in that picture next to me. And then, so she started to do some weeding, and then she started to do more stuff. Now she's actually a designer, a border designer. So she went as a second career from an antiques dealer, that the bottom fell out of. There's no more money in antiques anymore, to doing a bit of weeding. And now she designs gardens. It's incredible. So from there, just keeping on time, we realised that we needed more of us. So there became 8 of us, actually, in Henley, where I live, but still more inquiries, and I just couldn't manage it as it was anymore. So we thought, okay, well, how can we expand, but not have to manage every single person? So we developed a website, basically a directory, where everybody would have their own profiles to say what they could do and what they were available to do, and if they were companion gardeners or if they were able to do something more, like putting up fences. And so that's how it started. But we came across some surprising issues, and one was a lack of confidence in women, just to go out there on their own and just start up as I did. They wanted their hand held. They were worried about not having enough qualifications. I don't have any qualifications, and nor does Justine. RHS, a lot of people think that the RHS, which is Royal Horticultural Society, they run a lot of courses, but they are sometimes a barrier into entry, because you have to be able to learn in that way. You have to be good at absorbing Latin names and retaining them, and not everybody learns like that. I certainly can't. So what we had to do is find ways to support women to becoming companion gardeners, because there's such a need for people to have support in their gardens. So they don't have to move house. So we now do that by running workshops, online workshops, for how to set up as a self-employed gardener. And we have WhatsApp groups that we've got horticulturalists on there. So if somebody doesn't know something, they can just ask a question, and that will be answered, or put a picture of a sick plant up or whatever, and somebody will say, oh, it's this, you need to do this. And the other barrier is IT illiteracy. Even now, we have women who are only in their 40s and 50s who really struggle with technology, really struggle writing a profile. And that was a big shock to me, actually, how many people really struggle with that kind of basic communication in reading and writing. So we have to support them in that as well. So getting a user-friendly platform has been a challenge, and actually we need something more robust now. And we need an app, really, to make that even more easier for people to use. And so, yeah, this is kind of where we are now, really. We've just been going a couple of years, so and I've got another business, so this is kind of we try to run both alongside each other. So we've got 700 registered garden owners on the site at the moment, looking for gardeners, and 400 registered gardeners on the site. It's free to use. It's free to use for garden owners. It's free to use for gardeners. There's a messaging feature, so they can receive inquiries and send out responses for no fee whatsoever. I don't think there's any other trade platform that allows that. Over 20% of them are paid subscribers, so they pay a small amount, $4.95 a month, which means that they can put their emails and stuff up there, and that basically just goes to maintaining the site, and hopefully we'll have enough to be able to afford an app and some national marketing, because we don't have those funds at the moment. So that's our aim, really. There was last year 160,000 professional gardeners in the UK. Only 17% of them are women. So that our aim is to obviously get more women into becoming professional and companionship gardeners to support older people in their gardens. But also, we're looking for partnerships and support to help us expand our reach. And that's us.
Thank you, Jan. So where do you see kind of or what are your kind of ambitions for wee weed in the future then? Do you kind of have targets in terms of how many people you want to help or how many gardeners?
Yeah, I mean, we'd love thousands to be on the site. We need thousands to be on the site, and we haven't quite got it to that critical mass yet. We're not actually a registered charity, but I am thinking that maybe I should have actually set it up as a registered charity, because it kind of is, uh, but not in the way most registered charities are. So yeah, it's very expensive to build apps, and to compete with the likes of Checker Trade, and those kind of big guys. So we're just gradually trying to find ways to reach out, to people in horticulture, and yeah, slowly expand our reach.
And what are your kind of favourite stories in terms of kind of people that have been helped by wee weed? There must be some great kind of anecdotes or kind of case studies that you've developed.
We do have a lot of women who have signed up for second careers, and for lots of different reasons. We have a lot of women from the NHS, from the teaching profession, and from corporate burnout as well. We have some women who have come from domestic abuse marriages, and they've found that working alongside another gardener locally builds up their confidence. Being outside is, we all know, is really beneficial for mental health. So having a job that helps your own physical and mental well-being is huge.
And in terms of the people who've kind of received the gardening service, are there kind of any stories that come to mind in terms of the benefit for them? And maybe they haven't wanted to use gardeners before, or
Yes, I mean, it's people who live on their own. It's a real lifeline, because um, there's two reasons. One, because they've got company, and there's somebody coming in every single week. And it's not their grown-up children telling them that they should downsize, move into a home. Have they taken their medication? It's about sharing something that is mutual, that's fun, that's nice. And also, when you work side by side with somebody who's a bit vulnerable, it's non-confrontational, because you're side by side and you're weeding, you're doing something together, and people tend to open up then, because it's non-confrontational. So if they are struggling with loneliness, or they're not feeling very well, or they've got frustrations, it starts to come out. So yeah, it's hugely beneficial.
yeah. Kind of Martin was asking, I guess, kind of a question on a similar vein. So in terms of kind of trusting female gardeners more than male gardeners, have you kind of seen elements of that kind of people have kind of welcomed the service?
Yeah, there's two. The thing is, people think gardeners are just
Mm,
this one thing, and these gardeners do hedge cutting and lawn mowing, and people when you think of a gardener, you think of a male gardener with hedge cutter,
yeah.
and they tend to just come in and just cut everything down, or cut into round balls, and then they're off, and they might come back and they might not. So women gardeners tend to do the smaller things, the beds and the borders, and the things that male gardeners generally don't want to do unless they're horticulturalists. So there's a place for all of us, and that is why the website is not just for women, because we need all kinds of gardeners. But generally, if people like, say, 35-year-olds with families, 35, 40 with families, and they're busy and they just want the lawn cut
Yeah.
generally. But women on their own, and older people feel more vulnerable, so they feel safer with women in their
Okay.
gardens, basically.
Okay. And Sandra was asking, so typical charges for helping people in their garden?
The average rate for a gardener, like a proper professional gardener, is about £27 an hour. But what we say is, because we need companion gardeners, it's really important that we get more companion gardeners. So anybody can do that, as long as they've got happy with the outdoors, and they can do a bit of weeding, and they can listen to their senior garden owner. You can start on £15 an hour, really. and then generally you sort of build up your skills and knowledge, and then you might sort of move on to bigger gardens. The idea with wee weed is that once a gardener becomes more experienced, they can then hand over that garden to somebody who again is less experienced, and then you've got that consistency of people managing your garden rather than them just leaving, which is what happens.
Okay, okay. So if people are interested, have you got the link again to your website, Janet, so that people can?
So it's weeweed.co.uk. So it's weeweed.co.uk.
Great. So that's either if people are or kind of know people who want to be a gardener, and for people who want a gardener themselves.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Well, thank you for joining us, Janice. If there are any, there may be some more questions that appear in the comments. So yeah, if you're kind of happy to hand around,
Yeah.
Dan's put the link in the chat there for anybody who needs it. But yeah, thank you for joining us today.
No,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.